the Honorable Minister of Education, Your Excellency Malam Shekarau, my dear sister, Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture, Mrs. Asabe Ahmed, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Ibukun Odushote, my directors and deputy directors here that are present, market women, I can see you all green, I think, yes, I can see, yeah, exactly. Wow, I need a stall in what you... let me also say I'm delighted to see a lot of distinguished Nigerians here with us, and they are all from the media industry. Mrs. Julie Coker, I was just a young guy when I used to watch television. You still look as beautiful as ever, and your voice is still the same. Miss Onyekam Onwenu, of course, she is here. My dear sister Motayo and Ambassador Otioti. What I will be sharing with you about today is about Nigeria's agricultural transformation. First and foremost, let me start by saying that Nigeria is blessed to have a lot of oil. But I want to ask you this morning, how many of you had oil for breakfast? You don't drink oil and you don't smoke gas. It is good to have oil, but at the end of the day, people eat food. And when I was trying to study, my dad wanted me so desperately to be a medical doctor. And 3 times I tried. They always said they would take me for agriculture. And because of my dad, it was first choice medicine, second choice vet medicine, third choice dentistry. And so after 3 times, each time they said they would take me for agriculture, my dad said, God must really want you in agriculture. And I think it's right for me to be in agriculture. The reason I'm saying this is that the coolest profession you can have, it's agriculture. Because even doctors will tell you, take 3 tablets a day after food. And so, when the president started, the president was very clear that this economy needed to be diversified. And we had to make sure that, yes, we have oil, we have to diversify the economy, make sure we are not susceptible to global volatility in the commodity prices, and also make sure that we are creating jobs, reducing our dependence on food imports, that we are reviving our rural economy. And so he decided to launch the agricultural transformation agenda. The goal was very simple. Let me say that noise is cheap. Facts are totally incontrovertible. And so it's very easy. Some people think the more decibel you have, the more facts you have. No. Facts are like light. It doesn't matter what you do, you can't hide the truth. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through what we've been able to do under this president. This president set a clear target for the nation to produce 20 million metric tons of food between 2011 and 2015. That was the target. It wasn't waffling. It wasn't we'll do it, we might do this. That was the target. And to create 3.5 million farm jobs and others along the value chain. And for this to happen, we took a decision that agriculture is not a way of life. Agriculture is not a social sector. Agriculture is not a development activity. Agriculture is a business. And with this president, we began to look at agriculture differently. Look, in the world today, if you look at the 9 billion people to be fed by 2050, they are going to need food, right? 65% of all the land to feed that world is in Africa. Most of it is sitting right here in Nigeria. In fact, 84 million hectares of them are sitting in Nigeria, of which we are not cultivating more than 40%. And in fact, if you look at the productivity of agriculture, we are not cultivating more than 10% of them optimally. So this president decided that we had to unlock the potential of agriculture. Potential is important, but nobody eats potential. So we have to really go to work on that. So 3 things we did. First, taking agriculture as a business. Second is take a value chain perspective. Everything we have to add value to. Because those that produce primary commodities are the ones that are poor. It's those that add value to things are the ones that are rich. And the third is that we decided on a paradigm shift. That paradigm shift is that government will enable the private sector. Because the private sector is the engine of growth. And that is what we decided to do. So let me just go straight to the scorecard and share with you. First and foremost, people talk about corruption in this country. I don't think anything was more corrupt than the fertilizer sector in this country when I got here. For 40 years, we had a corruption going on in which Nigeria was spent 873 billion naira between 1980 and 2010 on fertilizer subsidies. Not more than 11% of that actually got to farmers. It went to political elites. It went to a lot of rent seekers. Most of it ended up in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, you name it. Fertilizer got hands and legs and walked away from farmers. That was what we meant when we got on here on ground. And Nigeria was estimated to have lost, an average of 776 billion naira to corruption in the fertilizer sector. And this was what we meant. People would bring fertilizer, 50% sand, 50% fertilizer. And the farmers were actually being creamed and they lost their dignity. And under this president, it took us exactly 90 days to end the corruption of 40 years in the fertilizer and seed sector of this country. We took the government out completely out of buying and selling and distributing fertilizer. No, the role of government is very simple. Good policies, good institutions, good infrastructure, and good regulations. After that, everything must be done by the private sector. Today in Nigeria, Federal Ministry of Agriculture doesn't buy, distribute anything like seeds or fertilizers and so on. Everything is done by the private sector. Now, when people say they are helping farmers, sometimes you think the farmers are ghosts because you don't know them. You don't know where they are. You don't know who they are. You don't have their contact address. You don't have what you call know your customer. Know your customer is the basic thing you have to do in business, except, of course, you're trying to steal government money. Then you don't know the people you are reaching. We started under this president, the nation's first ever registration of farmers in this country. We registered right now well over 11 million farmers. We have biometric information on these farmers. The farmers have cards, just like you and I will be having credit cards in this country. Not only are we the first to do it in Nigeria, we are the first in Africa to have a comprehensive database of our farmers, and it's all under this president. Let me say that has allowed us to target our farmers. I'm a minister. I don't need anybody between me and farmers. Why do I need anybody? If I know you, you go to your bank, you don't need to know your neighbor. The banker knows you because you hold an account there and they can recognize you. That is what we have done in this country. As a result of the program, I said 11% of farmers were getting fertilizer when we started. Today, 92% of the farmers that are registered are getting fertilizer and seeds. Now, let me say that in terms of what we have done, we developed this thing called electronic wallet system. Electronic wallet system is something based, I thought I had my phone with me, but we actually use the mobile phones. Nigeria has a 78% penetration rate for mobile phones. We have more mobile phones than we have of television sets in Nigeria. And so we decided to use the mobile phone to reach our farmers directly. Now, we are the first in Africa to develop an electronic wallet system that allows us to send subsidized coupons for seeds and fertilizers and farm inputs directly to our farmers. Not only are we the first in Africa to do that, we are the first in the world to do that, right here in Nigeria. Let me say what has happened as a result of that. You can see the figures. We've been able to reach 14 million farmers, all of them redeeming their seeds and fertilizers with absolutely no problems at all through the electronic wallet system. You can see the regional distribution. Let me say loud and clear that most of those that are benefited under this president from this innovative program are in the north of Nigeria. 10.3 million farmers out of the 14 million farmers have been from the northeast, the north central, and the northwest of Nigeria, as you can see it there. That tells you all across the country, every single part of this country is being touched by this president. Now, you can see women. I can see that, you're all here, you're powerful women in this country. Look at that. Before, women never got fertilizers and seeds. The men will sit under the tree and distribute whatever is left. But here, because of the electronic wallet system, you can see the women there. The women get their seeds and fertilizers via electronic coupons on their mobile phones. We have reached 2.5 million women through the electronic wallet system by 2014. And that's an increase of 287% since 2012 that we started. So we have brought equity into the system. Today, we have greater probity, accountability, and transparency in how this sector is working. Look at what has happened. When I started, people talk about mobile phones. What's going to happen with mobile phones?